Ladies and gentlemen, this is American road racing. Tight, fast, powerful. There are heroes, there are winners, and there are moments when man and his machine defy the laws of physics. U.S. road racing has two premier classes, 750 Superbike and 750 Supersport. This year, a Kawasaki Ninja ZX7 won both championships. What better proof that Kawasaki engineering, above all, stands for performance? The kind of performance that met Hondas, Yamahas, Suzukis, and Ducatis on the racetrack and trounced them fair and square. Here's the team that walked off with the double championships. Doug Chandler, the new Superbike champion from Salinas, California, a dirt tracker who learned to bang bars on mile ovals. Scott Russell, the new 750 Supersport champion from Jonesboro, Georgia, a pavement specialist who finished second in the Superbike chase last year. Plus, Mr. Rob Muzzy, tuner extraordinaire and crew chief for Team Muzzy Kawasaki. Rob Muzzy is no stranger to winning Superbike crowns. His Kawasaki's took the 1981 and 82 titles with Eddie Lawson aboard. That's right, the same Eddie Lawson who went on to win 3 world championships. Then in 1983, a Muzzy-tuned Kawasaki won the Superbike title again, this time with Wayne Rainey, who took his U.S. experience to the GP wars and walked off with the world championship this year. The bikes ridden by Lawson and Rainey evolved into the most potent line of street machines ever produced, the mighty Ninjas. It was a ZX7 Ninja that Doug Chandler and Scott Russell used to blister lap records all season long. Kawasaki engineers, still unsatisfied, took the lessons learned from the racetrack and produced a pair of Ninjas even more advanced for 1991. Stick around and you'll see them in a few minutes. But first, let's follow the season that bred those two new Ninjas. It started at Daytona Beach, Florida, where the tribes gather every March for a week of sun and fun. Or if you're a racer, a week of speed on the huge high-bank tri-oval. The fast guys kiss 175 miles per hour on the straights and average 112 miles per hour for the longest race of the year, 200 miles. Chandler and Russell would ride both classes all season, Superbike and 750 Sport. The rules are simple. The Premier Class, Superbike, allows any modifications except the frame, cylinder head, and engine cases must remain stock. Super Sport machines closely resemble the showroom bikes you can buy. They must be stock except for the tires, shock, and pipe. Early in Daytona practice, the ZX7 Superbikes of Chandler and Russell weren't even close to those stunning 175 mile per hour speeds. Muzzy had received the bikes only a few days before in his California race shop, and the carburetors weren't dialed in.
You know, Rob didn't have enough time. He just had to throw what he had together, bring him here, and hope for a decent finish.
We're working on it. You know, everybody's trying something different. Everybody will be using something different for the race, I believe.
Well, we started off a little bit late. We had a little bit of trouble getting the rig away from the shop, and we've been working a little bit double time trying to catch up for that. We've had a few problems from the start, but we're working on them and things are coming better. Well, right now we're just going through the bikes and tearing the engines down, checking everything, make sure everything's okay. We've improved on our problem. We're going to try and make a few more changes, and hopefully we'll be right in there for the 200 miler.
Super Sport was another story. When the rules say keep it stock, a bike's breeding stands on its own. The Ninja bloodlines responded, and Kawasaki took 1-2, with Chandler ahead of Russell by half a second. The close-to-stock ZX7s averaged nearly 106 miles per hour in their runaway win, a new record. Meanwhile, the Muzzy crew spun the wrenches with calm precision, trying to coax a little more steam out of the Superbikes. But time was against them, as the riders gritted against 72 other machines for the 200-mile final. Kawasaki had pretty much conceded that Daytona would have to be practice for the rest of the 8-race season. Things went from gloomy to worse on the first turn. Doug Chandler peeled into the grass to avoid a pileup and rejoin the pack well off the pace. But a 200-mile contest at Daytona takes 2 hours, and in that time, Mr. Chandler slowly, methodically began picking off riders. His ZX7 had conjured up some unexpected horsepower after those last-second adjustments, and Mr. Chandler, through dogged persistence, surprised everybody with a trip to the winner's circle in 3rd place. That earned him 13 points toward the overall Superbike title, which would be decided 7 races later.
Bike ran really good on it, accelerated really hard. It just would carry RPM into the corner on me. It wouldn't, shut off all the way. When I'd go into the first corner, it was idling really high, say 6,000 RPM. And that was, I think, the hardest thing about the whole race was just fighting the bike, getting it slowed down.
Yeah, I wanted to leave here with all our riders' health and some points, and 2 of them out of 3 did that. Congratulations. Thank you.
At the legendary riders' track of Road Atlanta, cat-like handling determines the winner, not brute acceleration. In the Superbike class, Chandler won his heat and finished 2nd in the final after a daring last-lap lunge for the lead was spoiled by a lapped rider. Another trip to the winner's circle, however, fit the team strategy exactly. Pick up points every race in a steady march to the championship. Scott Russell turned the fastest lap of the day in the 750 Supersport class. He also won his heat, as did Chandler. In the final, however, they finished 2nd and 3rd respectively, with Russell missing the win by 0.005 of a second, about a foot, in a breathtaking last turn charge. Kawasaki rolled away from Georgia with the point lead in both classes, and the setup on both bikes dialed in. The ZX7s were now ticking like a Swiss watch. Shortly thereafter, Doug Chandler beat the best in the world by putting his ZX7 on the pole, not at a U.S. Superbike event, but at a World Superbike round held in Brainerd, Minnesota. He then led the first leg and won the second leg outright by 4 seconds. Team Muzzy Kawasaki had become a world-class act. They proved it a week later at Loudon, New Hampshire, with crushing domination rarely seen in U.S. road racing. Chandler and Russell grabbed 1st and 2nd in the Superbike class, 1st and 2nd in the 750 Supersport class, and Scott Russell, just for good measure, iced the 600cc Supersport class on a Kawasaki Ninja ZX6. As the others went home to nightmares of green, Kawasaki collected a sack full of trophies and a fat points lead. The ZX7, its 16 valves flashing, had exceeded all expectations and was fast becoming king of the track. And behind the scenes, deep inside the design computers at the factory, engineers were working on something more formidable for 1991, something quicker even than the ZX7. By now, the Chandler-Russell Cyclone was uprooting trees. At Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, Chandler blitzed the Superbike class again by sitting on the pole, winning his heat, and taking the checkers 6 seconds ahead of anybody else. Chandler also pounded the Supersport class by 6 seconds as Scott Russell took 3rd to retain his points lead. Miami, Florida brought racing to the city streets for the first time on the Superbike Supersport Tour. Chandler and Russell ripped down Biscayne Boulevard 1-2 in both classes. Kawasaki had just won 7 of their last 7 races entered. At Mid-Ohio, they made it 9 of 9 by finishing 1-2 in both the Superbike and Supersport class. At this point, there had been only 2 mechanical problems in 24 starts, so ZX7 reliability was now something else for the competition to fear, in addition to horsepower, handling, braking, and the considerable skills of Mr. Chandler and Russell. With 2 races to go, Team Muzzy was about to win both the Superbike and Supersport titles for Kawasaki. Conservative finishes at Heartland Park in Topeka, Kansas would clinch the Superbike crown for Chandler and the Supersport crown for Russell. And that's exactly what happened. Chandler cruised to 3rd, and the championship suddenly belonged to Kawasaki. Russell amassed enough points in Supersport to clinch the 750 title for the near-stock ZX7. It had taken just 2 races early in the season to get dialed in. And from then on, the Kawasaki ZX7s were unstoppable. the team would ride the last event at Willow Springs, California as undisputed champions. There, Chandler finished second in the Superbike final. He and Russell ran away with the Supersport final, finishing 1-2. That's how the season point totals read as well, with Russell the new 750 Supersport champ and Chandler runner-up. Kawasaki engineers love racing. There's no speed limit. Within the restrictions of reliability and rules, they can try anything. And this year, all their experiments worked. Between Mr. Muzzy and the factory, they found a dozen ways to improve the ZX7. Would you like to see the result? Ladies and gentlemen, the 1991 ZX7R, a purebred aimed at production class competition and available in limited numbers to qualified buyers. And for the street, the brand new 1991 ZX7, based on the R model, with a completely new short-stroke engine, bigger valves, a liquid-cooled oil cooler, dual oil pumps, perimeter frame, upside-down forks, and a maintenance-free battery. One look, and the world knows you own the hottest bike in town. Congratulations to Superbike champion Doug Chandler and 750 Supersport champ Scott Russell for inspiring such incredible pieces of hardware. Ask your Kawasaki dealer for a closer look today.